The new Flow 8 from Behringer is a quirky little piece of gear that you need in your life. It looks like a run-of-the-mill small mixer without many features, right? Well, let me tell you, this thing is more than meets the eye for a price tag of only $249. So buckle up because it's time to explore the new Flow 8.
All right! Woo! Yes!
So let's start at the beginning. Why did Behringer come out with yet another mixer? They already have like 50 plus mixers, right? I think Uli and team thought if they could bring some truly unique features at a crazy price point, why not release a new product? And I have to say I agree with them in the case of the Flow 8. I don't think you're ready to handle everything this little guy can do. I'm going to go into all the core features of the Flow 8. If you look at the titled sections in the video below, you can actually skip to any particular section that you may be most interested in. First things first, its size. This thing is small. It's a nice, powerful, virtually handheld mixer for $249 that boasts 8 input channels, including 4 microphone preamps. So if you're feeling bold, you could potentially run a very small band setup with this mixer. Next, control. You have access to effectively all the core functionality on the mixer physically, but you can also remote control it with the app via Bluetooth. The app does have access to more advanced controls as well, such as the 4-band EQ on every channel or single knob compressor. Third, I really like the auto gain setup control that will help you set your gain levels properly if you're not familiar with that. It's a nice little touch for people who don't normally get into audio or handle audio production. Fourth, there are 2 dedicated monitor outputs that you can configure what you'd like to send out to them. It's a really easy way to set up your monitor mixes with this board in a way that you don't normally see at this price point and size of board. And I think that really lends itself to small live performers' flexibility. If you do have a stage wedge or an in-ear rig, it just makes it really easy to get it dialed in. Next, you can use the Flow 8 as an audio interface that can record 10 individual channels into your recording software, like Pro Tools here, and you can send 4 things back from the computer into the mixer at the same time. So that could be backing tracks or other various things, maybe a click track or something. This is also very uncommon at this price point to have that bi-directional multi-channel interface capability. Last, and another important thing is that the Flow 8 has good sound quality. It borrows from its bigger brothers, the X32 and the X Air series digital mixers, and will sound very similar overall. One interesting thing to note, though, is that phantom power only runs to 2 channels on the mixer, and I believe this was done on purpose with specific power requirements in mind. It actually only runs off of a 5-volt USB power cable, so it's actually possible to power the whole mixer off of a USB battery pack. In fact, I believe they're planning to release a power bank for the mixer in the not-so-distant future. That means if you had a powered speaker like a Bose S1 that is also battery-powered or another battery-based product, you could actually have a completely off-grid setup when it comes to doing your gig. So if you're busking on the street or if you're doing a wedding on a beach or something, you can completely decouple from all of that and have a pretty decent setup with this mixer. So those are a lot of the core features of the mixer itself. Let's take a closer look at the layout of the Flow 8. On the top left, you have all 8 inputs. You'll notice you have 4 microphone inputs as well as 4 1/4-inch inputs that can be mono or stereo. You could plug in electronic drums or a CD player or even instruments in at least 2 of the 1/4-inch inputs that you have. Inputs 3 and 4 on the top are combo jacks. This means that you can plug in a microphone with an XLR cable or a 1/4-inch input onto the top as well. Below all the analog inputs, you'll see the corresponding mixer faders. Even though the Flow 8 is primarily controlled by the Bluetooth app, you still have hands-on control over most of the mixer functionality through clever use of interface design that maximizes functionality. It was really clever on their part. One of the drawbacks of the X Air series, in my opinion, has always been the lack of actual hands-on control. So this actually does fix that and makes it more streamlined for portable use if you don't want to be dependent on an iPhone or iPad app. On the top right, you'll see all of the various outputs, including a stereo XLR main output, as well as 2 dedicated monitor outputs that can be configured via the app. Again, this isn't something you would normally see on a mixer of this price and size, so this is one of the really big distinguishing features of this board. Now, below the outputs, you'll run into the control section, which consists of a dedicated Bluetooth USB audio level knob. This will control what audio may be streaming into the mixer from Bluetooth or USB. You have a headphone volume knob and a fluid scribble strip and multifunction select, or we'll call it an adjustment knob for controlling gain or effects level on the fly. You'll also see a section to the left of the scribble strip that gives you access to mute controls and effects functionality. You can use the knob on the bottom right to quickly control the levels of various parameters as well. You'll also notice a tap tempo on the board for controlling time-based delay and modulation effects. Now, jumping to the back of the board, you'll notice a place for a USB cable for recording and receiving channels from a computer, as well as a USB power input for powering the board itself. So even though the Flow app has all the comprehensive controls, you can still control all of the critical functionality right from the front of the mixer itself, which is really nice. Now let's check out the app itself. First, it uses Bluetooth to control the board. This is actually much better than similar boards that use Wi-Fi because Wi-Fi isn't always reliable. If you can pair your phone with the mixer and keep it close, your reliability should go up considerably. And you'll notice the interface mirrors what you see on the board itself, but you do have easier access to routing and EQ and single knob compression functionality through the app itself. Speaking more about the sound and audio quality, it's actually pretty good at the price point. You may have noticed I'm actually recording this video with this SM7B here direct into the mixer without a cloud lifter, and it sounds okay. I've definitely heard it sound better, of course, but with just about 60 dB of gain to work with, I'm happy with the performance of the preamp, as well as the onboard effects and compression and EQ. All right, so now let's wrap everything up here. The Flow 8 is great for musicians who want a lot of performance in a small package. It's great for streamers as well as podcasters who need a lot of flexibility at a lower price point, but if you still want to maintain great sound. It's also good for DJs for the same reasons, and because it can be used as a 10-channel input audio interface, it's also great for a nice little side small recording rig at the same time. And don't forget the capability to power it via the 5-volt USB input on the power pack of some kind. That's one of the killer apps on this thing, in my opinion, the ability to take it portably anywhere you go and run it off of power. At $249, this mixer is breaching new territory, and while it's already been popular, even though it's just now kind of releasing and coming out, I suspect it's going to continue to surge in popularity over the next year or two as more and more people find out about it. If you do have any other questions on it, let me know, and thanks as always for checking out the Gear Cage. I'm Ryan Sloan, and we'll see you again next time. Take care.